Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The music was low, soft like a secret. Dim evening light slanted through the blinds, casting long golden lines across the polished wooden floor. My skin glowed under it, warm, fleshed alive. I moved with the beat, hips swaying, arms flowing, the thrum of the rhythm pulsing through me. My thin shorts clung tighter with every spin, every slow drop, until they became almost a second skin. I didn't notice him at first. Not until the air shifted. A presence. Heavy. Watching. My breath caught mid-move, but I didn't stop. In the mirror, I saw him leaning against the doorway, arms crossed, eyes locked on me. Calm. Too calm. Like he belonged there. Like he'd been watching longer than I realized. He didn't speak. Just sat. And I kept dancing. I told myself it was fine, that it was just practice. That it didn't matter he was watching. That the way his jaw tensed meant nothing. But every flick of my wrist, every curve of my spine, felt like a silent dare. The room thickened. Like the space between us was melting. Like his silence was saying more than words ever could. I could feel his gaze like heat on my skin. His breathing was steady, but I heard it deeper than before. And when I turned, really turned, facing the mirror with my back to him, bending low into a stretch, I swear the air crackled. Was it wrong to enjoy it? That forbidden thrill crawling up my spine? Or was I imagining it all? The music played on, but we were in another rhythm now. A rhythm of what-ifs. A rhythm of unsaid things. And just when I thought he might get up and leave, I felt him move. A single shift. A footstep forward. Barely a sound. That's when I knew this wasn't just dancing anymore. This was something else. Something that could change everything. The song faded, but the silence was louder. I stood still, breath uneven, pulse racing under my skin like a secret trying to escape. I didn't turn around. Couldn't. I felt him behind me now, closer than before. Not touching, not speaking. Just there. Watching. The mirror showed everything. The flicker in his eyes. The way his chest rose and fell just a bit faster. The way he tilted his head, studying me like I was a riddle he didn't want to solve too quickly. I reached down, pretending to fix the edge of my shorts. The fabric tugged again, and in the reflection, I saw him shift, his hands tightening around the armrest. Still no words. I stood and stretched my arms above my head, letting the arch of my back do the talking. That's when I heard it, the softest breath, a sound not meant to be heard. But I caught it. And it lit something deep inside me. Then, a step. Not loud. Careful. Intentional. I finally turned. We locked eyes. Neither of us smiled. There was no need to. Everything was already there, in the quiet, in the distance between us that suddenly felt too narrow, too dangerous. I didn't mean to interrupt, he said, voice low, hoarse around the edges. You didn't, I whispered. I kept going, didn't I? A pause. A beat where time held its breath. You did. His gaze dropped for a split second, then came back bolder. I took a slow step forward, our space thinning to a breath. My hand grazed his arm, just barely, just enough. Neither of us moved away. My heart was thudding now. A slow, heavy rhythm matching the storm building between us. I began, not even knowing how I'd finish. But I didn't get the chance. He reached out, not to grab, not to hold. Just his fingertips brushing a loose strand of hair behind my ear. A touch so soft it could have been the wind. But it wasn't. It was him. And in that tiny gesture, something shifted. Lines blurred. Walls trembled. And I knew, the next second could change everything. His fingers lingered just a heartbeat too long near my cheek. Neither of us moved, not forward, not away. We were suspended there, breathing the same tight air, bound in a tension so thick it almost crackled. My skin burned where he touched me, like a mark left by a whisper. I could feel the heat coming off him. I didn't mean to lean closer. It just happened. Our faces were inches apart. His eyes flicked to my lips, quick, involuntary, and back again. It was a look that said everything he wouldn't say out loud. My chest rose, slow and deep, and his eyes followed every breath like it was a countdown. I swallowed hard, and he noticed that too. I should go, I murmured, though my feet didn't move. Not even a little. He didn't answer, but his jaw tightened, and I saw the struggle in his eyes. Like he was fighting something, or maybe trying not to want it too much. His hand dropped not away, but to my waist. Light. Testing. I didn't flinch. His fingers stayed still, but I could feel the weight of them. I could feel how careful he was being, and how close he was to not being careful at all. My hand rose on its own, pressing against his chest, not to push him back, not really. Just to feel him. The beat of his heart beneath my palm was fast. Erratic. Just like mine. "You're not going," he said, barely above a whisper. I know. Silence again. But it wasn't empty. It was pulsing with what we weren't saying. His forehead touched mine, soft and slow. His breath mingled with mine, warm and steady. But he didn't close the space. Neither did I. We were right there, at the edge of something irreversible. One move. 1 second. And we'd fall in. But instead, we froze. Eyes closed. Breathing. Swaying just slightly with the tension between our bodies. The music still played somewhere in the background, distant, dreamy, but we weren't listening. We were listening to each other. And even though nothing had happened yet, everything already had. His breath brushed against my lips, warm, shallow, trembling with everything he wasn't saying. We didn't kiss. But the space between us was thin enough to feel it if we had. Every inch of my body was aware of him, the way his fingers curled slightly at my waist, not pulling me in, not letting me go. His chest rose against my palm, fast and uneven, like something wild just beneath the surface. My knees felt soft, like my body was swaying toward something it wasn't supposed to want. He hadn't moved, but everything about him screamed restraint. My lips parted slightly, not to speak, just to breathe, and even that was dangerous. His gaze dropped to my mouth again, longer this time, like he didn't trust himself to look. And still, neither of us crossed the line. "Why are you looking at me like that?" I asked, voice barely there. He didn't answer right away. Just let his thumb graze the edge of my shirt, a whisper of a touch that sent a shiver up my spine. His eyes met mine again, darker now, slower. "Because I'm trying not to do something stupid," he said, low and rough. I laughed softly, but it caught in my throat. "Then don't." Another pause. His hand slid up just slightly, resting now on the small of my back. We were close enough to feel each other's heartbeat, echoing through the space that shouldn't have existed between us. Every second stretched, aching with tension. He leaned in again, but not all the way. His lips hovered near my jaw, his breath warm on my skin. My hand, still on his chest, gripped lightly, not pulling, not pushing. Just holding. His voice was just a whisper now, like a secret meant only for me. Tell me to stop, but I didn't. Couldn't. Because stopping felt impossible now. We weren't just standing close, we were teetering on a wire, hearts colliding in slow motion, and the fall was one breath away. His words hung in the air, heavy and trembling. Tell me to stop, but I didn't. Couldn't. We were far past that now. His hand pressed more firmly into the small of my back, pulling me just close enough that our bodies grazed. It wasn't a full embrace, more like a magnetic pull neither of us dared to resist completely. My breath hitched and his eyes flashed, like he felt the shift the moment it happened. I tilted my head just slightly, exposing my neck, and his gaze followed the movement like it was instinct. His lips hovered there, so close they stirred the tiniest breeze against my skin. I could feel every beat of my pulse, racing, reckless, unhidden. His hand slid upward, fingertips brushing along my spine, slow and controlled, like he was memorizing every inch without even touching properly. I shivered. Not from cold, but from the raw current surging between us. His other hand rose, cupping the side of my face so gently it almost made me ache. We were so close now. Every breath was shared. Every glance was a fire struck in silence. "You feel this too, don't you?" he murmured, his voice deep, husky, almost reverent. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My hand curled tighter against his chest, feeling the thrum of his heartbeat, wild, matching mine. Our foreheads touched again, softer this time, but heavier. Like we were holding each other up against the weight of everything we weren't supposed to want. The moment was trembling. We were trembling. He tilted his face, brushing the tip of his nose against mine. A single breath more but it didn't happen. We stayed there, suspended. His lips brushed the corner of mine barely, just a whisper, but it was enough to unravel me. I gasped, eyes fluttering shut, and his grip tightened like he was holding himself back with the last thread of control. This was the edge. The moment before everything breaks. And we were still falling. The moment was seconds from tipping over. My breath was caught between his lips and mine, heart pounding against the cage of his ribs, every inch of me aware, craving, burning. His fingers on my waist now gripped with a little more certainty, as though he'd finally let go of hesitation. His lips brushed mine again, just a ghost of a touch, and I felt the world narrowing down to this sliver of space between us. Then a loud knock. Sharp. Sudden. Like thunder tearing through silk. We jolted apart. My body screamed at the loss of his warmth. My eyes flew to the hallway, where the knock had come from, as my heart tumbled into my stomach. I could barely breathe, my chest rising and falling like I'd been caught in a storm. He stepped back, one hand still half reaching toward me, eyes wide. Not with guilt, no, with frustration. With something unfinished. We didn't speak. We couldn't. Because whoever was behind that door was real. And the moment we had almost crossed, nearly shattered, was now stretched thin and trembling. The knock came again. Slower this time. Almost knowing. "I'll get it," he whispered, voice low and shaken. But he didn't move right away. His eyes scanned my face, looking for something. Maybe reassurance. Maybe regret. But all I had to give him was the same thing he gave me, raw, pulsing confusion. And want. So much want, still clinging to my skin. He turned, finally walking toward the door. I stayed frozen, chest tight, fingertips still buzzing from where they'd touched him. Everything about me felt undone, my shirt slightly askew, my breath uneven, my thoughts scattered like ashes in a windstorm. The door creaked open. A woman's voice. Cheerful. Too cheerful. "Hey. Sorry for just dropping in, have you seen my charger? I think I left it here last weekend." It was his friend. I knew her voice. Too familiar, too close. I stepped back from the hall's line of sight, pressing myself against the cool wall, trying to disappear. He answered her smoothly, casually, like nothing had happened. Like we hadn't been a breath away from disaster. But I saw the tremor in his hands as he held the door. I heard the crack in his voice when he laughed. And I knew. Whatever this thing was between us, it wasn't going anywhere. It had just been seen, even if not by her. The air was different now. Sharper. Riskier. The line hadn't broken. But it had bent. And next time, it will snap. The door shut. Silence fell again, but it wasn't the same silence. It vibrated with everything we had just suppressed. The knock, the interruption, the near miss. It had only stoked the fire higher. He came back slowly, eyes locked on mine like he'd already made a choice. "I can't do this," he said, voice low, almost shaking. "But I want to. More than I should." My pulse raced. He stepped forward, no hesitation this time. I didn't back away. Couldn't. The air between us crackled like lightning waiting to strike. His hands found my waist again, but this time there was no pause. No careful restraint. We crashed. It wasn't soft. It wasn't sweet. It was everything we'd been holding back, unspoken looks, teasing touches, unfinished breaths, all colliding in a kiss that stole my balance. My back hit the wall, and his mouth moved like he'd been starving for this. Every brush of his lips, every pull of his hands, was fire. We didn't speak. There was nothing left to say. My fingers tangled in his hair, his breath hot against my neck, and time blurred. This wasn't quiet desire anymore. It was bold, unapologetic, irresistible. And then footsteps. Real. Sharp. Too close. The door creaked open again. "Hey, I forgot we froze." The voice stopped. She stood in the doorway, charger in hand, and eyes wide with shock. We were still locked in place, his body pressing into mine, my lips parted, my hair messy from his touch. There was no hiding it. Silence burned. Her expression changed confusion, then realization. And then something else. A slow, stunned smile. "I'll pretend I didn't see this," she said, backing out as smoothly as she came. "But wow, okay." The door shut again. A beat of stunned laughter broke from my chest. He leaned his forehead against mine, breathing hard. "Well, that was unexpected." I nodded, still breathless. "So now what?" He smiled, but there was heat behind it. "Now we stop pretending this isn't real." And just like that, we weren't hiding anymore. But the real twist? She didn't pretend she didn't see it. She told someone. And now, we weren't just caught in our emotions, we were caught in something far bigger. The secret was no longer a secret. The moment the door closed behind her, we knew the line had been crossed, the rules rewritten. There was no undoing it now. And strangely, neither of us wanted to. We stood in the middle of the room, the silence no longer awkward, but electric. I looked at him. Really looked. His hair was a little messy from my hands. His lips still swollen from the kiss. His expression? Completely unguarded. "I guess this changes everything," I said quietly. He stepped toward me again, slower this time. Not desperate, not rushed. Just deliberate. "Sure. It doesn't have to," he said. "Unless we want it to." His hand reached for mine, fingers lacing with mine like they'd always belonged there. It wasn't about hiding anymore. It wasn't about pretending or resisting. It was about owning it. The tension between us didn't vanish. If anything, it deepened. But it was no longer forbidden. It was fierce, magnetic, real. We sat down on the couch, side by side, still close, still sparking. His thumb traced lazy circles on the back of my hand. Every touch was soft, but charged. Like now that we'd allowed it, we couldn't stop the slow, beautiful unraveling. Outside, the sun dipped low, casting golden shadows across the floor. Inside, everything was warm, too warm. Not just from the heat, but from the way our bodies still leaned toward each other, like gravity itself had changed. "People will talk," I whispered. He smirked, eyes locked on mine. "Let them." And with that, he pulled me close again, not to lose control, but to claim something that was already ours. A kiss. Slow this time. Deep. Final, yet opening 100 new beginnings. The fire hadn't gone out. It had only just learned to burn out loud.